Good evening, everyone. It's been a little while, and it's time for us to have a check-in on crypto, a check-in on Bitcoin, because there have been some moves happening in both directions, and I want to give you basically a top-down view on how I'm seeing the market right now. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it and take a look here at the current Bitcoin pricing. So we are trading at the moment, right now, at the time of recording, at $88,300. Now, as we know, in the last couple of days, we've had some pretty dramatic whipsaw movements. I'm talking primarily about this one here on the 17th of December. It's basically a 6% move, all things considered, up and then down again. Something like $100 million worth of shorts liquidated on the up move, and something like $50 million then liquidated almost moments later on the down move. Liquidation still continues creeping into this market. It still remains dangerous. It still keeps things volatile. I'm going to talk more about that in just a second. But first of all, the kind of technical analysis of this. The way I see it, right, we have technically broken out of the uptrend that we put in since this sort of ultimate local low put in on the 25th of November, right? So we had this uptrend here. There was the high. There was the higher low. There was the higher high. There was your higher low. We made another higher high just by the skin of our teeth, and subsequently came down to break this low here, right? That was the low from the 25th of December, thus technically breaking us out of that uptrend. But if I just delete my scribbles there, what I still like about this chart is the apparent solidity of this support forming around about the low to mid 80s. Okay, so you've got this low here basically at 84,000 or 83,700 give or take, and that has been respected ever since it was put in, right back on the 25th of December. So we've got a couple of touches here a little bit higher, the most recent one being 25th of December, but every time we've come down here we've moved away again pretty quickly, at least in relative terms. And so that seems to be pretty strong support, at least for now, right? It's not as if we're dipping into that and then ripping away to the upside, but it's been respected multiple times. Support doesn't really tend to get stronger every time it's touched, right? But if you look at this, I mean, it's pretty elementary stuff, but if you zoom out a little bit and look at this from a higher level, we are still basically making an uptrend of lows, okay, roughly speaking. Of course, not in the most local sense, but at this in the kind of midterm, we are dipping down into these low 80s and then coming away from them, and every time we dip seems to be a little bit higher each time. That doesn't mean that that can't be broken, not by any means. And in fact, that brings me on to the liquidation risk question, because if you take a look at this low from the 25th of December as a kind of focal point for that, okay, so we'll call it 84,000. Let's look at that in terms of liquidation risk. So if we zoom out the Bitcoin exchange liquidation map here on CoinGlass, go down to 84,000, you are still looking at $2.74 billion worth of cumulative long liquidation risk. Why is that a risk to us? Why is that a risk to market structure? Because basically that means that leverage in the market is such that these leverage long positions are at risk of becoming liquidated of the exchange, forcing them to close those positions, right? Those are traders trading on margin with borrowed money. If they are forced to close, they are forced to sell suddenly, rapidly, without conscious manual input, meaning supply gets dumped on the market. When supply gets dumped on the market, prices must come down. It's just the way it goes. And then you get this dominoes falling situation, or you get the risk of that. It can go in both directions, and we do still see a disparity in short liquidation risk. That is the opposite of the effect that I just described versus long liquidation risk. But first of all, just to keep this nice and organized, I don't want to downplay the risk of long side liquidations in this market right now. I don't want to downplay the risk of sudden price moves to the downside. There are still people just injecting liquidation risk into this market by trading on money with money that they don't have, by trading on margin, we're not yet at that point where everyone is so beat down that they just can't get involved anymore. They can't bring themselves to get involved anymore. Despite the fact that Fear and Greed Index is squarely in fear, okay, 27 on the Fear and Greed Index. But we can balance that with, okay, so on the daily time frame, right, look at this. This chart is almost identical to the upside and to the downside, right? That tells us in cumulative terms, on the daily time frame, equal shorts and longs. And that's peaking out here at about $650 million to the upside and to the downside. But if we look over the 30-day trend, right, cumulative liquidation risk on a longer time horizon, still a balance to the upside, still a disparity to the upside, right? It still means there's more shorts in the market, which we would expect given prices are down so much and given the state of fear and greed in the market. But just something to be aware of, okay? That as long as this continues, we will continue to see these rapid whipsaw movements like we saw a few days ago, like this big 6% whipsaw, right? Straight to the upside. Oh my God, amazing. We're going to the moon. And bang, straight to the downside. And what this also means is it makes it much easier for anyone looking to manipulate the markets to do so, because it's just way easier to bully prices around when that liquidation risk persists in the market. But how do we get around this problem? Okay, I don't see a lot of incredible short-term trading opportunities right now, but I do still see opportunities for accumulation. Okay, still looking to add into my spot bags. And let me just massively oversimplify this for you, right? It basically comes down to the old adage, right? Almost cliche, that time in the market beats timing the market. This is basically what dollar cost averaging gives to you. So, do prices go up or do they come down from here? Well, I think obviously incredibly hard to answer that question. But if the goal is to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible over time, dollar cost averaging lets you basically filter out all of the noise. Okay, you don't have to be right every single time because you're just adding to your bags over time. And on average, as long as the asset keeps increasing on a long enough time horizon, you keep winning that way, right? So yes, I think it's possible we keep going down. I also think it's possible that we bounce from here. I'm not certain which of those two scenarios is the most likely to happen. I've got opinions on it, but I'm far from certain on what's the most likely to happen. But if we're playing this game over multiple years, it doesn't really matter so much. And I would rather risk buying too early, i.e. risk buying now, than miss the opportunity to accumulate at these prices if we start ripping to the upside. I hope that makes sense. I hope that is a simplified version of what I'm trying to describe to you. But basically, yeah, you don't have to be right if you just keep on buying over a long enough time horizon. If you believe in this thing long term, just consider these times of continued depressed pricing to be opportunities to accumulate at depressed pricing, right? Bitcoin is on sale. It's still on sale. It still makes sense for me to buy, at least for the portion of the portfolio that I want to hold long term, which is the majority of the portfolio for me. Obviously not financial advice. Do whatever you want to do, do your own research, etc. It's your money, but that's what I'm doing. And I'm not the only one. So look at this on-chain data we've got here from Glassnode, absolutely incredible resource. And this is telling us that Bitcoin whales have been buying the dip, right? $23 billion worth of Bitcoin purchased in the last 30 days. This was published just a couple of days ago. Bitcoin whales have purchased 269,822 Bitcoins. I just realized you can't actually see that article. Give me 1 second, I'll bring that up for you. So here we go. BitGet reporting this data from Glassnode. Will whale purchases push up Bitcoin prices? That's not necessarily what I think is the most important about this data. I think the most important thing is simply that big whales are still accumulating. But in any case, the movements of whales are key drivers of Bitcoin prices. Yes, obviously, large wallets appear to be buying the dip, which could signal an impending trend reversal. Many industry experts predict that BTC prices will soar in 2026. Grayscale believes that BTC has deviated from its 4-year cycle and is now following a 5-year cycle. This means BTC could reach new highs in 2026. Other factors that could drive BTC prices higher include lower interest rates in the United States and crypto-friendly legislation. Nothing particularly new there. And another fun fact of this was, okay, here we go. The largest single transaction by whales within 30 days was in nearly 13 years. You've got to remember, I believe, when they are making that statement, that is not accounting for the price of Bitcoin, right? So I think largest single transaction isn't in terms of Bitcoins, it is in terms of the dollar value of that. Obviously, Bitcoin prices are some of the highest they've been in the last 13 years by quite a long stretch. So that does sort of make sense, right? Nearly $23 billion worth of Bitcoin accumulated by whales in the last 30 days. But in any case, big wallets, big Bitcoin holders are buying. More detail on that, which I think is also pretty interesting, is that apparently a lot of these are new whale buyers, right? New whale buyers now drive 50% of Bitcoin's realized cap. Is that a shift from old cycles? Here reported on Coinpedia. New Bitcoin whales now account for nearly half of the network's realized cap. On-chain data shows large buyers continue accumulating at higher prices even during market pullbacks. The trend suggests that Bitcoin's market structure is changing, challenging how past cycles typically played out. New on-chain data shows that nearly 50% of Bitcoin's realized cap now comes from new whale buyers, which is a sharp break from how past cycles have played out. Realized cap tracks the value of Bitcoin at the prices each coin last moved on-chain. So when new whales approach 50% share, it means that half of the capital invested in Bitcoin was formed at recent price levels, not during early low-cost accumulation phases. New whales are playing a different game. According to the data, these new whales are mainly institutions and ETFs buying Bitcoin at higher prices and in larger volumes. So that does make sense from what we're seeing. Institutional move to Bitcoin or popularity of Bitcoin in institutional investors. That alone sets them apart from long-term holders who accumulated cheaply and sold into strength during previous bull runs. More importantly, their behavior during pullbacks looks different. Even during corrections, the realized cap share of new whales has continued to rise. So this means two things. First of all, it means that these new investors aren't put off by falling prices, okay, which is a good thing, because if we're assuming these are new whale buyers, institutions, companies holding Bitcoin on the treasury, etc., we like to see that they're not being pulled off by pullbacks, okay, because they're not necessarily crypto OGs, right? Not people who've been in the game for a very long time. It's encouraging to see them buying into dips. One thing to be cautious of that though is also not necessarily seasoned investors, seasoned crypto investors who are willing to ride out these storms, okay, as it were. And this plays back into something that we have noticed, which is the ETF flows. Very often, disappointingly often, in fact, behaving somewhat like retail, okay? Selling out on the red candles, buying on the green candles. But nonetheless, it's encouraging to see big whale wallets buying into the dips. And that is what I'm going to leave you with, because I've said this a million times before, but basically the best strategy is to emulate what the smart money is doing. Okay, it's not to emulate what the high leverage cowboys are doing. Okay, the people who are getting liquidated. Not a big liquidation event over the last 24 hours, but still 22 million longs and $42 million worth of shorts liquidated out of the market. It's not a good idea to emulate this kind of trading. It's a much better idea, in my opinion, to emulate long-term plays. Long-term plays generally make money over time, and that is a pattern that you can see in investing, as long as investing has been a thing. So there we go. Support still holding up around these low 80s. I don't know how long that is going to last, but I do like the way this is building. Okay, it could look way stronger, but we do still seem to be building up support there. Big whale wallets buying. There's caveats to that, of course, but nonetheless, it's still big, serious investors accumulating Bitcoin, and that is what I'm looking to do as well. I hope you found that interesting. Hope you found that valuable. As always, though, absolutely nothing I say should be considered financial advice. Purely my opinion, purely shared for entertainment purposes. But thank you so much for watching. Plenty more to come. Catch you in the next one. Goodbye.